Thank you very much. That kind introduction, Brad. Good afternoon, and thank you to the North Carolina Free Enterprise Foundation for this opportunity to speak to the 2013 Leadership Luncheon. I'm honored to be here, but I'm not sure if the invitation came because I was asked to comment on the leadership of the General Assembly, or if it's because it's obvious to all of you that I am an expert at eating lunch. Unless you redirect me as a well-rounded consumer of good meals to comment on the wonderful meal that we just shared, I'll speak instead of the hard work and leadership in overcoming challenges facing the people of North Carolina and a vision for the future of our great state. Before looking at where we are, it is helpful to look at where we've been. In 2010, fed up with numerous examples of lack of competence and outright contempt for free enterprise, the passage of an ill-conceived national health care takeover, and frequent stories of corruption and extremism by Democrat majorities, the people of North Carolina gave the Republicans a chance at bat by establishing GOP majorities in both chambers for the first time in more than a century. Stepping up to the challenge of leading, Republicans began working to right the ship of state. Republicans overcame a $2.5 billion budget shortfall, passed significant tort reform limiting medical liability, cut a regressive sales tax, allowing hardworking North Carolina families to keep more than $1 billion in their pockets, reformed a broken workers' comp system, passed criminal justice reform, began the process of regulatory reform, and began reducing government inefficiency by ending at least 60 duplicative and unnecessary boards and commissions. We also performed our constitutional duty to pass fair and legal redistricting that was not only pre-cleared by the U.S. Justice Department on its first submission, which had never happened before, but has successfully withstood the politically motivated court challenges thrown against it. Empowered and entrusted by voters again in 2012, we continue working to better the lives of workers, improve wages, and strengthen the middle class. We have reformed North Carolina's unemployment system, transforming it from a debt-ridden, mismanaged program that was out of step with our neighboring states and into its intended purpose of providing a safety net for those citizens through no fault of their own who find themselves temporarily unemployed. It also energized and brought greater focus and attention to job training and job placement efforts. All this designed at getting citizens back to being able to support themselves and their families. As Senator Brown explained, in order to create jobs and stimulate growth, Republican state legislators passed a bill to cut the red tape, to eliminate unnecessary regulations on small business, the job creation engine of our great state, the engine that will put hard-working North Carolinians back to work. Under the governor's leadership and a dynamic Secretary of Commerce, we have reorganized North Carolina's efforts at recruiting better career opportunities for our citizens. And in keeping with our campaign commitment, we have taken a major step towards reforming North Carolina's tax code. Prior to this reform, North Carolina workers and the businesses that employed them faced the highest income taxes in the Southeast. Our sales tax system relied entirely on a system and a model based on the 1930s economy. Republicans passed a nationally praised tax reform package that included the largest income tax cut in the state's history, meaning more hardworking North Carolina families will have more money in their pocket. The tax reform package simplifies the state tax code, cuts personal income tax rates for all North Carolinians, and eliminates the death tax. Furthermore, included in the tax reform package, Republicans cut the corporate tax rate to help companies in North Carolina create more jobs, and most importantly, the tax package will attract new employers to the state, making North Carolina more competitive not only in the region, but across the nation. The Nonpartisan Tax Foundation says that the tax reform package will move North Carolina from 44th to 17th in the nation as far as favorable tax treatment. Since voters trusted Republicans to fix a $2.5 billion deficit and pay down billions more in unfunded mandates and wasteful government spending, North Carolina's economy has exceeded economic performance relative to the country in many areas. While modernizing our tax code, we work to ensure sufficient revenue remain to meet North Carolina's obligations. Among those obligations are our constitutional mandate to provide quality education to our children. Let me be clear. Republicans hold this obligation to educate our children sacred, not only because we've taken an oath to support the Constitution, but because we know education provides the map to better prosperity for all. We believe firmly in the potential of each child to learn the skills they need to fully live up to the potential God gave to them. And we've invested in this future. Despite the talking points that are frequently used, Republicans in each year of our majority have invested more state tax dollars toward education than has ever been invested before. It is also important and intellectually honest to note that 64% of the operational funding for our K through 12 system is funded through your state tax dollars. This level of funding, according to the National Council of State Legislatures, places our state in the top 24 of the 50 states in its commitment to educating its kids. Changes to our pre-K program allow children of the most economically distressed families to have first opportunity to benefit from positions available. While realizing that this group is primarily concerned with economic issues, I think it's worthy to mention the much discussed changes to election law. Republicans set out to improve the real and perceived integrity of our election system. We want and will strive for every citizen to be fully able, informed, and encouraged to vote once, and that those votes cumulatively will determine who wins and who loses elections. The changes we have made to our election system are far from being oppressive. They in fact put North Carolina in the mainstream of most other states. No one will be denied the right to fully participate in electing our leaders. Let's take a look at some other less often discussed actions of this General Assembly, if you don't mind. This General Assembly allocated $10 million to compensate victims of the now defunct eugenics sterilization program. This General Assembly increased total K through 12 education spending by 2.1%. That's about 15. This General Assembly, for the first time, invested $18.6 million in school security and safety measures across the state. This General Assembly fully funded state pensions and fully funded the state health insurance plan. This General Assembly set aside funds for Medicaid costs that are continuing to rise and grow. Unexpected Medicaid costs did prevent, as was pointed out earlier, raises to be given during this current fiscal year. I would like to point out that the only raise that has been given in the past 6 years was given under the Republican General Assembly and over the veto of the former governor. I'll also point out that money was set aside for potential salary adjustments next year. Starting this year, 5 additional vacation days were granted to state government employees. We further passed laws to increase penalties for child abuse and neglect and prevent human and sex trafficking. Passed protections against financial exploitation of older adults. We revamped our road funding by replacing a politically driven system with a scientific, fact-based model to ensure that roads are built where they are needed. With all this, we still have much yet to do. We must continue to work with our state Medicaid system and with our healthcare system in general to ensure that we keep the focus on keeping people well and not just a fee-for-service model of treating them when they're sick. We must continue to reform our tax and regulatory system so that investment and savings are encouraged. We must restructure pay for our educators and our state employees to reward excellence and retain and recruit excellent educators and workers. And we must continue to invest in educating children, meeting the educational need of the child, not just feeding the established system. We must continue to refine our system of building and maintaining roads and bridges to make sure present and future needs are served. And this includes looking at alternative ways to finance these road projects. And it also includes wringing out efficiencies at the DOT to make sure that the money that is committed to build roads actually translates into the roads we need. We must continue fighting every day to make North Carolina the place citizens can live up to their potential, raise their family, and leave an even better foundation for the future than the one we found. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for the good jobs that you provide. Thank you for the taxes that you pay to support our government. Thank you for your focus and your support on supporting candidates who are dedicated to wisely investing your tax money in effective and efficient constitutional government. I wish you all a very happy holiday season. May God continue to bless you, and may God continue to bless our great state. Thank you.